So here you are, you're Nick, you're touring the world, you're on stage with Tony Robbins, you got it all, of course, from the outside, everyone thinks people have it all, and you kind of walk away from America. You come to Dubai, you completely change your life, you come into the unknown. Why do that?
Yeah. There's a few reasons why I moved from America to Dubai. The first one was I had this calling in my soul that I'm worth more, and the environment wasn't valuing me to what I knew I was worth. And so I just kind of felt like I didn't fit in, or I wasn't vibing with that industry and that crowd. I also got to the point where like we had the cars and we bought the cool house, and I was like, is this it? You know, I had that like spiritual moment where I was like, oh, like, this is kind of boring. You know, I need more. And I just ended a 5-year relationship, and so there was no strings attached. And my business partner got a download and was like, hey, we should at least check out Dubai, because I was gonna move to Colombia and do my digital marketing business and kind of just be a chill nomad over there. But I realized there wasn't any networking and any not much money over there. And so in May, I went to Dubai for 9 days, and I just wanted to experience it. I also reached out to a bunch of influencers here, and for those that messaged me, we'd link up, and I just wanted to feel the vibe and feel the energy. And a few things that were really noticeable about Dubai and the UAE, at least for me and my perspective. The first one was you can't really flex money here. Now, I lived in Miami, you know, like it's like flexing money, who's got a Bugatti, like all this different type of stuff. Here, just money's everywhere. And so it's not really a tool. That means relationships are more built off like, what's your mission, what's your integrity, and what's your values? And if it's aligned, like, let's do something together. There's also a very collaborative energy, at least I feel here, where meaning people are willing to open up their Rolodex if it's in alignment, if it's value. And even from the top down, the leadership is incredible in the sense that they run this place like a business. They run it as entrepreneurs. I mean, they mastermind about the world and then they implement it. Like, where else are you getting that? And so if things are aligned here, like they'll just change policies or they'll just destroy laws, and they want to create a healthy environment for their children, which is us. It's crazy. The other thing that really impacted me was what they did with people with physical challenges. You know, I have this story that's going viral that I spoke on the World Government Summit. But basically, I was on a beach and I needed to use the restroom, and I noticed that there was 3 restrooms. There was a male restroom, there's a female restroom, and then there was a restroom labeled POD. And I didn't know what that meant. And I was like, sir, what does this mean? And he's like, well, that's for you. It means people of determination. He said, here in UAE, we don't use handicap or disabled or crippled, whatever you want to call it. We use the term people of determination. And that level of thinking from the leadership, I was like, this is a place that I can call home. But also I was like, this is a place that I can provide immense value to. I can bring more eyeballs here. I can destroy the stigma about this place and help you make it the most inclusive, accessible city in the world so other people follow, right? We can really change the world here. And so I just felt called. I sold everything. I moved to Dubai. And by the way, another reason why I did this, and I think this is really valuable, is there's cycles of life that we're in, and this will be really, really insightful for those that receive it. There's cycles to life. The first cycle, I believe, is fire. And what fire is maybe you're in the gutter, things are so painful, and like I mentioned earlier, you'll do whatever it takes to cool yourself down. And so from fire, you move to water, and you're like, okay, I've got some success, or I'm out of the pain, at least I can pay my bills or something.
How do you get out of a rat race? How do you create wealth not only for yourself, but also for the generations to come after?
I am absolutely amazed with the quality of companies that we're getting exposure to.
We go on to Zoom calls with the innovators and the folks who are building new applications in metaverse, blockchain, artificial intelligence, decentralized finance.
What's going on, everybody? Thumbs up if you can see me.
We are focusing on early stage investment.
And the quality of people that we're getting exposure to, whether it be Dan Tapiero with 1RT, Jason Ma from Open, Yatsu from Animoca.
It's been a phenomenal experience thus far. It has far exceeded my expectations.
We are focusing on cutting-edge technologies.
I view it now as the best investment I've ever made. The upside, I view, is unlimited.
And as a retail investor, I would never get this exposure anywhere else outside of Investment Club.
See you in the Investment Club.
But you're not fully in control because the water takes you wherever the water takes you. You know, you still have to play with the rules of the water. And then finally, you kind of surrender, you're in water, and you finally swim and you make it to shore. And if you have feet, you put your toes in the sand, you get a little bit more grounded, you have some stability, and you're pretty sturdy. And after, some time in the land, you eventually get some success and you start to elevate and you become wind. But if you stay in wind too long and you stay in your high horse too long, you can't relate to the people that are still in the fire. You lose a sense of reality. You're distorted, you don't really relate to anyone, and you're just on your high horse. I mean, how many of you know someone who's just way too high and mighty and they're out of touch with reality and you can't really relate to them? Now, me as a teacher, I want to be relatable. And so I firmly believe as men and women that all of us that are in air need to put ourselves back into the fire. And so as I move to Dubai and I sell everything and I leave a market that has generated me millions of dollars, all my family, all my Rolodex, I put myself back into the trial or the crucible or the fire or the flames to forge a new version of self. And I can assure you that it was scary, it was uncertain, I second guessed, I had nights didn't have sleep, regretting, did I make the right decision? And I had 3 months of not generating anything, just contributing, shaking hands, building relationships, and then that pendulum swings. And by month 4, I spoke, I was flying all around. I go to China in a couple of days. I was in Ireland. I spoke at the World Government Summit next to Elon and Tucker Carlson and Ray Dalio. And I'm like, how did I make it? But you get rewarded for the sacrifice. And Dubai has literally taken me and said, we want this to be your global launch pad and we want to blast you off to the world. And just to be direct, I was in America for 28 years. I never even made it to the White House. I'm in Dubai 4 months and I'm with some of the highest people here because they see the value. I'll end with this little answer is, it's like a water bottle. You can go to the gas station and buy a water bottle for $5, but then you can go to Nobu and that same water bottle is $20. Essentially the water didn't change, but the environment valued it differently. Most of you right now are probably valuable, but are in an environment that doesn't value you. And then when you're in an environment that doesn't value you, you start to second guess your own value. And so my hope is everybody finds the place that values them the most and don't stop until you do.
Is that a consequence of the fact that Nick grew up in that environment and that they got to know the Nick from the basic up to the certain point and you can't grow any further? And is that a lesson to people that sometimes you do have to go back into that fire to go to the next level? Or do you think that's just something that's just an American way of thinking about you? What do you think that is?
Could be the law of familiarity.
Yeah.
Meaning is something's around a lot. It's like you come to Dubai and you're like, the Burj Khalifa, this is amazing. And then a month in, you don't even look at the Burj. And that's a slippery slope. But I think it's a combination of starting from the bottom and then going to the top, but being in the same arena. They're just like, oh, that's just, that's Nick. It's like when you're in a relationship and you have a really amazing woman, and then you get accustomed to the amazing woman, and then you leave the amazing woman, and then you date other women. You're like, oh, she was actually way better than, she was way more valuable than I gave her credit for, because you get familiar with it. And so I think it's a combination of people getting familiar with it and taking it for granted, and then also how accessible you are. And if people find that you're really accessible, it diminishes the value. And then also it's funny, the whole thing that when someone leaves the village and becomes a bit bigger, and then they return to the village, they're like the hero. It's like, y'all didn't love me when I was here, but when I went out and changed the world, now it's different. And so I think it's a combination of both, but I don't think it's just an American thing. I think it's a familiar thing. And so even here in UAE, it's like, do I live here? Yeah, but I'm not always here. I live all over the world. And so you may catch me, you may not catch me. I may be available, I may not be available. I'm very conscious with my time and don't take advantage of that. And if you have me, value it. And when I'm not here, I'm not here. And so I think that that's also another thing that people need to be very conscious of like, don't make yourself too available. Because if you give an inch, people take a mile, but it gets familiar. You know, the jets get familiar, or the house gets familiar, and you can lose yourself.
Hey, I know investing in crypto is scary. It takes a real leap of faith because there are so many scams, rug pulls, and bad actors out there. It's a dangerous business, which is why 95% of people lose all their money. Well, that's why I created the London Real Investment Club, so you can access the hottest deals on the planet and use the crypto bull market to create the generational wealth that you deserve. Join my team of over 100 people from around the world that are making millions of dollars behind the scenes investing in blockchain, AI, Web3 games, DeFi, Bitcoin, and more. Don't miss out. Click the link below to book a call with one of my team now. But hurry, this bull market will end soon.
I know investing in crypto can be scary. That's why you gotta join the investment club. Pull the trigger. Let's do this.